So it seems like they're not stopping. What do I mean by that? Did you know that Caffeine recently made a post saying how they built something yet again? Wow, I'm pretty surprised at this because it's actually in regard to creative design. Now, people like to say, who cares about this? But this could actually matter hypothetically, in my opinion. And let me explain why I think so, even though nothing I say is financial advice and I'm not telling anyone to do anything. Well, first of all, if we think about it, what is Caffeine AI, right? It's a self-writing apps platform. Now, Caffeine themselves recently built something called Chroma. Now, what that is that it's basically this functional creative slash design studio that's a site that's built entirely on, or should I say with, Caffeine AI. Why does this matter? Well, it's because typically if we take a look at these brands out there, some of these companies, they oftentimes want a creative design agency or something like that to build them a site. That's completely normal. They want to reach, their customers, they want to reach other individuals, they want to reach partnerships, people who want to back their stuff. Again, there's a lot of reasons why they want that to be the case, why they want to have a site, right? But the thing is, usually it's kind of expensive, and at times they can't really just change it. It's like, for instance, if let's say we hire someone to build our site or something like that, there needs to be a lot of back and forths. And also on top of that, sometimes if we don't really agree on a design, we try to relay it back. Maybe they don't really agree too much with the change. It's just sometimes a little bit of a long and laborious process. But what happens, Chroma allegedly kind of changes all this, and it allows, for instance, someone like me to go on the marketplace and try to remix that and try to create my own version of that. That's really impressive, right? So again, Chroma is on the marketplace basically when it comes to Caffeine AI. And then the thing is, there is that remix feature, as we all know. So basically I can, take what's already been built, I can try to remix it, right? I can try to make my own creative version. I can try to make my own changes and all this. This is how impressive this is. So when people like to say, oh, Dfinity doesn't care, well, apparently they do, right? Or not, why would they care this much? Think about this. Did you know that actually the global design agency or specialized design services, I should say, the market of that is worth around 100 up to $270 billion as of 2025 to 2026, according to something called the Business Research Company. So we got to let that sink in. That's pretty impressive, right? So when people thought, oh, Caffeine AI is just for video games, who cares about that? Oh, it's just for random things that people don't care about. Dfinity, or should I say more specifically, Caffeine AI, they're just kind of like saying, wait, hold up. That's not it. We're not only focused on random nonsense. Take a look at what could be built. That's the thing. Now, quite essentially, because Caffeine AI is a self-writing apps platform, there is a lot of other possibilities, but I think something like Chroma, which they recently built through that, kind of showcases the capabilities of what Caffeine AI could truly do. That's the thing. It just kind of showcases that, hey, there's another layer to what we're trying to do, right? This is pretty impressive. So when people like to say, oh, why are they focused on all this type of stuff? Well, again, the creative design agency market, I should say, it's really massive. So we got to let that sink in. When it comes to Dfinity, they're not playing random games. That's the thing. Keep in mind as well, they're planning to launch a DEX. I'm not joking. I even made a video on that, and it was actually my most previous video when it comes to the internet computer. They are literally trying to build a DEX called multi-DEX. Pretty impressive, right? So quite essentially through that, they're going to be competing with Pancake or Uni. Pretty impressive, in my opinion. Now we'll wait and see what are the results of that, because we haven't even seen the demo yet, which is allegedly going to be next week, but, we'll wait and see. But if that does launch, it could be pretty impressive, in my opinion, because Dfinity, they already have Caffeine AI. They already have version 3 when it comes to that. They already have, all this talk in regard to cloud engines. They're working on that, and allegedly we've already seen the demo. We just haven't seen the full-on launch, right? So they're already doing all that. And then they're like, wait, hold up. In the meantime, we're going to be thinking about a DEX called multi-DEX. And then also on top of that, you know what? The cherry on top, we're going to build something called Chroma with Caffeine AI. What the? I mean, this is the stuff they're doing behind the scenes. They're not playing random games, in my opinion. They don't treat it like a joke. That's a lot of things to juggle, right? That's a lot of things to handle. It's not that easy to do that if the team is inexperienced, and also if the team is not prepared. So I think they built a robust team, in which case can handle all these projects the way I take a look at it, which I think is a smart move because a lot of other, projects out there when they want to launch products and stuff like that, sometimes they're a little bit too over ambitious because they don't really prepare initially, and then it ends up being really bad because they never launch anything. We've seen it many, many times. But when it comes to Dfinity so far, we're seeing what they're doing. Again, Caffeine AI, Cloud Engines, working on multi-decks, and also they did something called Chroma that's focused on kind of the creative design agency market, right? This is how impressive the stuff they're doing is, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, sure, the computer is below $3, but if anything, I'm like, what the? Wait, hold up. You're telling me a project is doing all of that, and then the computer is below $3? Like, seriously? I mean, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I'm just kind of surprised, actually, because sure, it may seem like a bad thing that it's below $3, but at the same time, with all those improvements and then it's below $3, like, how does that kind of make sense? Well, it kind of makes sense when it comes to the space because usually sometimes things get a lot better, but they get a lot cheaper in some cases for whatever reason. And, just how this space operates, but I can't control it. I can't do anything about this, but I'm just kind of surprised. So I'm just hypothetically, once a month, I'm trying to lower down my average cost. I'm trying to dollar cost average. That's it. But what Dfinity does, what they're doing behind the scenes, I can't control that, right? But one thing I can control is my patience and just my willingness to wait. I don't have to do it, but I just feel like waiting. I don't mind waiting if I actually like the project. That's the thing. If I don't like it, then I don't want to wait for it because if I want to wait for a project to improve fundamentally, it could take quite a while if the core fundamentals aren't even there in the first place. I don't want to wait for something like that. For what? But if the project is actually building, they're actually doing things, they're fundamentally sound, then I don't mind waiting. It's like, for instance, if I'm waiting for, let's say, a car, a brand new vehicle, then I don't mind waiting. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, that's pretty cool, right? It's just an analogy, but I'm just saying. But if I'm waiting for a car that's broken down 25 times or whatever, it's like, what's the point in me waiting for that? I mean, what's going to happen, using a car like that might break down for what? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So when it comes to the case of this project and also some other projects out there, I just really don't mind waiting. Now, do I know how long I'm going to have to wait? Absolutely not. But one thing I do know, though, is that we're over 6 times lower than its peak in 2024. That's all I need to know, actually, because in 2024, the computer wasn't even doing that good anyways, by many people's standards, and also on top of that, fundamentally, it was nowhere near this good. So if all I have to do is wait, yeah, I'll gladly wait. I didn't think I even saw an altcoin season in 2024 regardless, so it wasn't like almost $19 was a high bar for the computer. Not necessarily, right? Even though it did see almost $19 in 2024, I don't think that was really kind of the pinnacle of the computer just because I never saw a hypothetical altcoin season, at least that year. And I think some people kind of ignore the fact that this was around $9 in November of last year. $9? Like, seriously? In just November? We're below $3. We're over 3 times lower than $9 currently. Yeah, kind of bizarre, right? And then I'm seeing all of this right here go on when it comes to the computer. I'm just going to have to wait at this point. I can't control anything, but I'm not telling anyone to do anything. So I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.